My cheating fiancé was acting suspicious, but when I found protection in her bag, I devised a plan to expose her. She was stunned and knew everything was finished. Be me, 29-year-old Tyler, living what most would call the dream life. Got everything sorted both personally and professionally. Life looks perfect from the outside, like one of those Instagram posts everyone envies. Miami became my home about 4 years ago. Never looked back since moving here. This city with its endless sunshine and crystal beaches, perfect match for my lifestyle and personality. Work as a marketing coordinator for a major company. Making solid money that lets me live comfortably. Nice apartment in a good area. Drive a decent car without stressing about payments. Never have to sacrifice the things I enjoy. Married to Victoria for about 6 years now. She seemed like everything I wanted in a partner. Smart, beautiful, had this magnetic personality. Everyone always said we looked perfect together. Wednesday morning, overcast skies, light rain coming down, one of those heavy days. Air feels thick like it's hiding secrets. Took the day off work to fix the bathroom faucet. Not the most exciting way to spend time off, but there's something satisfying about fixing things yourself. When the wrench slipped and smashed my knuckle against the pipe, cursed loud enough to wake the neighbors. Got up to grab a bandage from the upstairs bathroom. Victoria's drawer was slightly open. Not like she meant to leave it that way. More like she got distracted and forgot to close it properly. Inside, wedged between hair ties and an unused vanilla candle, brand new box of condoms sitting there. Stood there staring for what felt like an hour. We hadn't used protection in years. She's been on birth control forever. We were supposed to be exclusive. At least I thought we were. At least I was being faithful. Didn't touch the box or pick it up. Just memorized exactly where it was placed, like taking a mental photograph for evidence. Slowly closed the drawer and walked out. Didn't even patch up my bleeding knuckle. The blood didn't seem important anymore. Something much bigger was wrong here. Could feel my world starting to shift. That evening made her favorite meal. Chicken Alfredo with that creamy sauce she always requested. Back when we were broke college students. Even opened a bottle of red wine. She smiled when she walked through the door, but her smile felt empty. Didn't reach her eyes. Lately, nothing about her seemed genuine. Like she was always performing for someone. Special occasion? She asked. Shrugging off her jacket like she was in a movie. Always had this dramatic flair when she felt untouchable. Made everything seem like a performance. Nope, I said calmly. Just missed having dinner with you. She kissed my cheek too quickly, too lightly. Slid into her chair like nothing was wrong. Then she started talking about her coworker Derek again. The way he made her laugh at work. How he accidentally bought her 2 coffees. Said he forgot he already got her one. She rolled her eyes like it was nothing, but her lips curved just a little too much. Could see the memory meant more to her. Then she was letting on. That night while she was in the shower, went through her purse looking for answers. Found a receipt from a hotel across town. 2 nights ago, room service for 2 people. Single bottle of red wine on the bill. We both hate beer, always order wine. She'd been there with someone else. Someone who shared her taste in drinks. Didn't say a word about what I found. Just waited and watched her behavior. Victoria's always been clever with her lies. Would deny everything if I came at her unprepared. Seen her gaslight friends and family before. Twist stories just enough to walk away clean. She'd make me look crazy and paranoid. Unless I had proof she couldn't argue with. Started building a case she couldn't lie out of. Went to my friend Kyle, who works in tech. Told him I was worried about Victoria's safety. Asked him to help me set up GPS tracking. He didn't ask too many questions. Just handed me what I needed. Said, "You good, man?" with concern in his voice. Told him yes, but I definitely wasn't. Planted the tracker inside her favorite purse. The one she took to every client meeting. Hidden in the lining where she'd never find it. Waited a week, then 2 more weeks. Watching the location pins drop on my phone. Places she said she'd never been to. Twice it showed hotels I'd never heard of. Once it was Derek's apartment complex. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. That Thursday night, she told me about a yoga retreat. Even packed a yoga mat in her car, like a prop in some amateur theater production. Kissed her goodbye at the door, then followed her route on the GPS. Drove 10 minutes behind with lights off. Tracker blinking on my phone like a countdown timer. When she pulled into the hotel parking lot, parked across the street and just watched. She got out wearing tight jeans and heels. Not exactly downward dog attire. Derek walked out the front entrance, smirking, wearing the same gray hoodie I'd found in our laundry once and couldn't explain. He opened her car door like a gentleman. She touched his chest affectionately. They looked comfortable together, familiar. Didn't flinch when I saw them, just watched them disappear into the lobby. Started planning how to destroy her slowly, quietly from the inside out. She wanted to play games behind my back. Time to show her what real strategy looked like. Waited 3 hours in the darkness. Parked across from that boutique hotel. Engine off, seat reclined just enough to hide my face from anyone looking. Hands were clenched the entire time. Not from rage, not even from heartbreak. From the pressure building inside me, the pressure of knowing and not acting yet. At 1:27 a.m., the front doors finally opened. Victoria came out first, laughing loudly, her hand intertwined with his like they owned the world. Derek followed behind, pulling her close like he possessed her. Her hair was messy in that way I used to love. That lazy post-sex chaos she pretended was natural, except now it made my stomach turn. Seeing it caused by another man's hands, she didn't look over her shoulder even once, didn't know I was sitting there watching. Completely oblivious to my presence, too caught up in her fantasy to be careful. They got into his car instead of hers. I followed them back to his apartment complex, the one she swore she'd never visited. Another lie to add to the growing list. Watched the lights turn on in the upstairs window, saw 2 silhouettes moving close together. Her shape was unmistakable even from the street. Then the curtains closed on their little show. Didn't stay to watch anymore. Drove home in complete silence. No radio, no thinking aloud. Just headlights cutting through the darkness, like some twisted metaphor for the future I thought we had. When I got back to our house, went straight into our bedroom closet, pulled out the fireproof box where we keep important documents. Birth certificates, marriage license, insurance papers. All the official proof of our life together. Took photos of everything with my phone, then opened a private folder on my laptop. Titled it Home Projects, so she'd never look. Started storing all the evidence there piece by piece. She never touches my computer files anyway. Too busy with her own secret digital life. Next morning, Victoria walked in at 9:15 a.m. Reeking of hotel soap and borrowed cologne. Different scent than what I wear. Another man's smell clinging to her skin. Kissed the top of my head like nothing happened, acting like she'd just been at some innocent retreat. "You're up early," she said with a fake yawn, stretching like a satisfied cat. "Just couldn't sleep well," I replied calmly. She poured herself coffee and sat across from me. No guilt in her eyes, no second glances. Like she'd mastered erasing me from her conscience. That afternoon, I bought a burner phone. Sent Derek a message from an anonymous number. "Hey man, if you're going to fuck my wife, at least have the balls to make eye contact next time." He didn't respond to the text. But an hour later, Victoria messaged me. "Hey babe, weird day at the office today. Might be running late tonight, sorry." I didn't respond to her either. Two could play the silent game, but I was playing it better because I had all the information. That evening, I took the next strategic step. Installed 2 motion-activated cameras, one in the hallway, one in our bedroom. Not hidden, just positioned discreetly. She never noticed them at all. Never paid attention to anything I did anymore, unless it directly benefited her somehow. I'd become invisible in my own house. That weekend, she told me about a corporate conference. Said she had to fly out for 3 days. I helped her pack like the supportive husband. Smiled and folded her business clothes, while she scrolled through her phone, ignoring me. Kissed her goodbye at the airport terminal. Even told her I'll miss you with conviction. Oscar-worthy performance on my part. The moment she passed through security, opened the cloud server on my phone, watched her GPS signal move to the same hotel, where she'd taken Derek before. This time, she was with a different man. Older guy, mid-40s, balding head. Expensive watch, no wedding ring visible. She laughed the same way with him. That's when the horrible truth hit me. Derek wasn't the only guy she was seeing. He was just one piece of a larger puzzle. This wasn't a mistake or momentary weakness. This was a complete system of deception. She'd turned cheating into a lifestyle choice. And I was married to a woman who had weaponized betrayal. That night I stopped calling her Victoria in my head. From that moment on, she was just her. She was going to learn what it felt like. To be outplayed at her own game. 3 days passed before she returned. Came home with a gift bag from the airport. Inside was a novelty mug, cheap candle, and a t-shirt 2 sizes too small for me. Watched her pretend she remembered what I liked. Her performance was Academy Award worthy, right down to the manufactured exhaustion. As she complained about how draining conferences were, I nodded sympathetically and let her sit down. Let her kick off her heels and scroll her phone, while I made dinner for both of us. Lasagna, supposedly her favorite dish. Poured her a glass of white wine, handed her the plate with a smile. She took 1 bite, looked up confused. "Babe, did you use different cheese this time?" I'd used Parmesan instead of mozzarella. The only reason she noticed the difference was because she'd eaten the same lasagna 2 nights ago from room service. She didn't know I had accessed her hotel bill. Didn't know I was keeping detailed score of every lie, every inconsistency, every careless mistake she made. That night, while she showered as usual, went through her purse in the same hidden spot. Found a receipt from a gas station, 3 towns over from where she claimed to be. Time-stamped during the corporate dinner. She said she attended with colleagues. Another lie to add to my growing collection. So I started building a comprehensive timeline. Every receipt, every GPS ping recorded. Every lie cataloged with dates and times. I created a spreadsheet with multiple columns, including one for her fake excuses. At first, it was just to help me understand, to make sense of the chaos in my head, but by the time I finished organizing everything, I realized I'd built an airtight legal case, and I wasn't even close to being done. This was just the beginning of my strategy. She thought she was playing chess, but I was about to flip the entire board. Booked a session with a divorce attorney next morning. Went in quietly, didn't want advice. I wanted pure strategy and legal warfare. The lawyer's face didn't even twitch when I showed him everything. He looked over all my evidence methodically. The photos, the GPS logs, the receipts, the hotel footage, the text message backups. Just nodded once and asked me one simple question. Do you want to end this clean or make her feel it? I looked him straight in the eyes. Both, I said without hesitation. He smiled and gave me a detailed plan. Step 1 was to act completely normal. That night I told Victoria something interesting, said I'd been feeling distant lately, wanted to try something new to reconnect, suggested we should go to couples therapy together. She actually laughed out loud at the suggestion. What? You think I'm cheating or something? She laughed like it was the funniest joke ever. I laughed along with her convincingly. God, that fake laughter burned my throat. But I nodded and played my part perfectly. No, I just want to feel close to you again. She smiled and leaned in closer, kissed me on the lips like a woman. Who knew she was winning every game? We booked our first session for next Thursday. Meanwhile, I sent Derek a special gift, a manila envelope with no return address. Inside were photos from the hotel hallway cameras, copies of text logs I'd cloned from her phone backup. Also included a short handwritten note. She told me you were just a fling. Thought you should know you're not the only one. Mailed it to his workplace address. I waited patiently for the explosion. 2 days later, Victoria got a text at 11:37 p.m. She quickly turned her phone face down, but I saw Derek's name on the screen before she flipped it. The message read, "Don't ever talk to me again. You're sick, and I want nothing to do with you." She tossed and turned all night long. Didn't know I was awake watching her panic. She had no idea I was smiling in the darkness. This wasn't revenge, not yet anyway. This was just the preliminary warm-up. The real game was still to come. By Thursday, I had memorized my role perfectly. The good husband, the forgiving partner, the one desperately trying to save our marriage. Victoria walked into therapy like she owned the building. Perfect hair, fake soft voice ready. Her face was a polished mask of concern. "We just hit a rough patch," she said. Before the therapist even asked a question, I didn't blink or react at all. Let her lie and build her fantasy. Brick by brick, story by story, I was already planning the demolition. When the therapist turned to me, I said, "I want to rebuild everything. But I feel like there are things she's not telling me." Victoria put her hand on my knee, that carefully rehearsed touch of fake intimacy. "There's nothing to hide," she said, with wide-eyed innocence that would fool strangers. But I wasn't a stranger. I was her husband. I knew exactly what her lies looked like. When she thought no one was watching her, after the session, she suggested grabbing lunch. We went to a cafe she used to love. Before she started working late every night, she talked enthusiastically about planning a weekend getaway, even leaned across the table seductively, whispered, "Let's start completely fresh." I smiled warmly and said, "Absolutely." Playing my part in her elaborate theater, that night while she showered again, I opened her laptop computer. She had no password protection at all. Stupid mistake on her part. Went straight into her email account. 2 unread messages immediately caught my attention, both from different men's names, both with the exact same subject line. Last night was absolutely perfect. Different guys, identical pattern of behavior, but the real devastating discovery was a draft message she hadn't deleted yet, an unsent message to one of them. "He's getting suspicious lately, I'll handle it soon. Just be patient with me. Once the money situation is sorted, I'm gone." The money? She meant our money. Logged into our joint bank account, quietly and carefully checking everything. That's when I discovered the withdrawals. Small amounts at first, spaced out strategically, timed around our regular paydays, but they added up to something significant. Almost $14,000 gone in 4 months. Not traceable through any major purchases, just vanished into thin air somehow. She was systematically draining our accounts, preparing financially to abandon me, but she thought she was being clever and subtle. She thought she was ahead of me, thought she was untouchable and smart. So I decided to let her keep thinking that while I prepared my own financial strategy. Next morning, I scheduled a meeting with my financial advisor. Immediately moved half of our liquid assets into a separate account under only my name, protected legally and completely legitimate. Told him to freeze the remaining accounts. The moment I called and gave the code word, also started recording absolutely everything. Audio, video, phone conversations when possible. Every single word that came out of her mouth. Every time she slipped up and contradicted herself. I carefully filed it all away as evidence. Meanwhile, Victoria started getting noticeably antsy. Derek had gone completely silent on her. The other guys were probably growing cold, too. She started clinging to me more desperately, suggesting board game nights like old times, touching me more than she had in months, calling me babe again like it still meant something, like she could manipulate me back into submission. One night, while we watched television together, she looked at me with calculating eyes. "You've been acting different lately," she said. I turned to her and delivered my line perfectly. "Just trying to be the man you want me to be." She smiled, but for the first time, I could see nervousness creeping into her expression because she couldn't read me anymore, and I was finally playing her manipulation game, better than she could ever imagine. The student had become the master, and she had no idea what was coming next. Things accelerated rapidly after that revelation. Victoria's anxiety was showing clearly now. Even through all the layers of manipulation, she wrapped herself in like protective armor, started pacing around the house more when she thought I wasn't looking at her. Her phone never left her hand anymore. At night, she clung to it like oxygen. She changed her password twice in 1 week, started checking all the door locks obsessively. Her carefully constructed walls weren't just cracking, they were completely collapsing around her. And I gave her absolutely no reason to stop. Came home with fresh flowers for her. Told her she looked beautiful every day. Booked us a reservation at the same restaurant where we had our anniversary dinner 3 years ago. Like I was desperately trying to hit the reset button. She melted into the romantic gesture completely. Drank way too much wine that night. Laughed way too loud at everything. That desperate laughter people use when they're one step away from the edge. And pretending they're not falling? I watched her carefully the entire evening. Caught all the little revealing details. How she jumped at every phone vibration. How she texted from under the table. When she thought I was looking away, how she excused herself mid-meal to make a private phone call outside. I knew she hadn't booked any hotel. I followed her outside quietly, heard her say into the phone, "No, I don't think he knows anything yet. Just give me more time to figure this out. He's being weirdly sweet lately. It's almost over, I promise." Almost over, she kept repeating. She had absolutely no idea how right she was. That night I printed out everything I had. All the texts, all the receipts, the hotel surveillance footage, the bank records, every single piece of evidence, sealed it all in a thick manila envelope, mailed it priority delivery to her parents. Signature required, no way to miss it. Her parents loved me and they hated liars. 2 days later, Victoria got a phone call. Right in the middle of our dinner, her mother's number flashing on the screen. She stepped outside to take the call privately. She was gone for almost 25 minutes. When she came back inside the house, her face was completely pale. Her jaw was clenched tight with tension. Didn't say a single word to me. Just sat back down at the table. Picked at her food like she was chewing rocks. I said absolutely nothing and waited. The next day, her father showed up. Right at our front door, unexpectedly. I opened it and he didn't speak. Just looked me directly in the eyes. Nodded once with understanding. Handed me a small manila envelope. "In case you need this," he said quietly. Then walked away without another word. Inside was a notarized affidavit. A detailed character statement about me. And copies of messages Victoria had sent to her sister last summer bragging about the freedom of juggling multiple guys, while still milking her husband for comfort and money. I added it to my growing evidence file, then waited patiently for her to come home. When she finally walked through the door, I asked her casually and conversationally, "Did you talk to your parents today?" She froze completely in place. "Yeah, just checking in with them." "Everything okay?" she asked nervously. She forced the most unconvincing smile. "Of course everything's fine." I leaned forward across the table, hands steepled like I was praying, said softly and clearly, "That's funny because your dad dropped by earlier." Her face turned a color I'd never seen. Not pale, not red, but this weird flickering panic. "What? Why would he come here?" I didn't answer her question, just stared at her silently. She blinked rapidly, swallowed hard, then she said the words that finally cracked. Her perfect little acting performance. "What did he tell you exactly?" Boom, there it was, the confession. Not what's wrong or what happened. Not even what are you talking about? No, her first instinct was asking, "What did he tell you?" Because she knew deep down that the walls were finally closing in. I stood up slowly from my chair, walked over to the kitchen counter, slid open the drawer where I'd stashed the envelope her father had given me, then placed it gently in front of her. She didn't touch it at all, didn't even blink or look down, just stared at me with growing terror. I leaned down close enough for her to hear every single word clearly. "You've got until Friday to tell me everything. All of it, every man, every lie, every stolen dollar. Or I send my complete version of this to your office and your gym and your precious little book club." Her mouth parted like she wanted to scream, maybe cry, maybe beg for mercy. But all she managed to do was nod just once in defeat. Friday was 3 days away, and I was finally in complete control of the situation and her fate. The hunter had become the hunted, and she was trapped with nowhere to run. Friday came, and Victoria finally broke completely. She didn't do it like in the movies. No sobbing, no tearful confession on the bed, no apologies that sounded like redemption. It happened in ugly, sharp, defensive pieces, like someone smashing glass in slow motion and pretending it wasn't their fault. She sat me down after dinner, the same dinner I cooked like always, chicken stir-fry with vegetables, the scent of garlic still hanging in the air. When she finally said the words, "You want the truth? Fine." No build-up, no ceremony at all, just pure venom in her voice. There were 4 guys, okay? One was a complete mistake. The other 3 just happened naturally. I didn't speak a single word, just stared at her like I was watching a stranger steal my wife's face and wear it like a twisted mask. She went on, eyes flickering, between rage and complete panic. Derek was absolutely nothing to me. He was clingy and boring as hell. The second guy, Marcus, he's not even in the state anymore. He moved away. And the last one, she trailed off. Her jaw flexed with tension. "He promised me things you never could." "It's not what you think it is." No, it was exactly what I thought. I knew about all 4 guys, plus the one she didn't mention, the one she was still texting, under the fake name Rebecca in her phone. "Why?" I asked her simply. It wasn't a dramatic whisper. It wasn't me begging for clarity. It was just a question, flat and dry, like asking someone why they took the last cookie. She actually laughed at me, laughed, that sharp, defensive kind she always used when cornered. "Because you got boring, Tyler. You used to be fun and spontaneous. You'd surprise me, take me places, make me feel alive and excited. Now you're just another guy who thinks being safe is enough." I didn't blink or react. "I gave you everything," I said quietly. She rolled her eyes dismissively. "You gave me stability." "That's not the same thing at all." My jaw tightened with controlled anger. Then she made it so much worse. "You think being a good man is some kind of protective shield? Like that protects you from getting left behind?" I stood up and walked to the kitchen window. Outside, the world looked completely normal. Birds, trees, regular traffic. But inside our house, it was total war. "You were going to leave," I stated. "Take all the money and just disappear." She didn't deny it at all. Just said coldly, "It was mine too." That's when I dropped the final card. I turned around, pulled the flash drive from my pocket and tossed it on the table. "Everything's on there," I said calmly. "Every message, every receipt, every video. It's already been backed up in 3 locations. One of them gets sent automatically. If anything happens to me..." She froze completely in place, all the color drained from her face, not because she felt any guilt, but because she realized she'd lost. She'd been completely outplayed. "I want a divorce," I said firmly. "I want the house, I want my money back. And I want you gone from my life." She opened her mouth to protest, but I held up my hand to stop her. "You don't get to talk anymore." She shut her mouth immediately. 3 days later, she moved out. 1 suitcase, no goodbyes whatsoever. No apologies. Nothing. She just left like a ghost. That had finally been exorcised, but I wasn't done with her yet, because some ghosts need to be burned. After she left, the silence was different. Not peaceful, not healing at all, just hollow and empty. The house still smelled like her shampoo, that citrusy kind she used to special order. Her hair was still clogging the drains, her makeup still cluttering the drawers. She didn't even bother packing half her things. Left in such a desperate hurry, probably assuming I'd be too broken to care about her abandoned belongings. She was completely wrong about that. I boxed up every single item, with surgical precision and care. Every sweater, every bottle, every book, every framed photo of us that had been lies, for God knows how long. Stacked them all neatly in the garage and locked the door tight. She would have to come get them. She would have to look me in the eye and face the man she tried to destroy. But that wasn't even the best part. That weekend I met with the lawyer again, showed him the flash drive contents, the affidavit from her father, the financial records, the GPS logs, the complete text message backups. He looked over everything carefully, nodded once with satisfaction. "We're going to absolutely bury her," he said. I didn't want vengeance exactly. I wanted complete clarity. And clarity, as it turns out, can be weaponized effectively. We filed the divorce papers. First thing Monday morning. Served directly to her office, not her new rental apartment. In front of all her coworkers, right before her weekly staff meeting. The envelope was hand-delivered by a process server wearing a button that read, "Ask me about infidelity clauses." I didn't have to be there to see the look on her face, but her sister called me that night. "She's completely unraveling," she said. "She told our mom you've been stalking her." I actually laughed out loud. "She's been cheating on me for months." I protected myself, that's all. "She can't stand that I was smarter." Her sister paused for a long moment. "You're different now, Tyler." "I'm awake," I replied simply. But it wasn't enough for Victoria to just lose. No, she had to spin the story, had to make herself the victim. She posted some vague nonsense on Instagram. When men can't handle strong women, they try to destroy them. But I rise above it all. Rise? You were sleeping with men. You didn't even name in your phone. So I responded, but not online. Not publicly where she expected. I sent the home projects folder to her gym manager quietly. One of the guys she'd been with was a personal trainer there. I let him know politely that she had been intimate with multiple men at the same facility during work hours in breach of their employee code of conduct. He was fired that same week. She posted absolutely nothing after that. I began sleeping through the night again, eating regular meals again, even smiling again sometimes. Not because I was over it. God, no, not even close. But because I'd stopped feeling crazy. I wasn't the broken one here. I wasn't the liar or cheater. I wasn't the one who traded love for a string of forgettable nights. And every single day, Victoria lived with the knowledge that I hadn't just found out. I had watched, planned, and executed. She thought she was writing my ending. But I had the pen the entire time. I was the author of this story. And her chapter was finally over, while mine was just beginning. By the end of the second week, word had spread throughout our social circles. Quietly, of course, because scandals like Victoria's don't make noise in public spaces. They rot in dark corners instead, whispered from ear to ear until everyone knows. But no one says anything out loud. Her social circle fractured incredibly fast. Natalie, her supposed best friend, the one she used to lie to me about hanging out with, blocked her completely on everything. No phone call, no explanation whatsoever. Just disappeared from her life entirely. Turns out Natalie's boyfriend had received a little gift from an anonymous email address, a video of Victoria making out with one of her coworkers in a car, parked outside the gym after hours. I didn't even have to say a word, just nudged the first domino gently. Victoria started showing up at my house, unannounced and uninvited, not yelling or crying dramatically, just talking as if all this destruction could somehow be walked back in time. "You really think this is justice?" she asked. One evening, standing on the porch, in the same denim jacket she wore, the night she cheated the first time. "You think this makes you better than me?" I didn't even open the front door, just spoke through the glass clearly. "No, but it makes me free from you." She stood there for a very long time, eyes glassy, jaw twitching with rage. I thought she might scream, or break something or finally tell the truth. Instead, she just walked away silently. The next day I had her removed. From the joint insurance policy, the phone plan, the Netflix account, every single piece of life she'd leached onto and never earned. I changed all the locks on the house. I emptied her side of the closet completely. She texted me the following message. "You're not the man I married anymore." She was absolutely right about that. That man believed in her completely. That man bent over backward for her. That man loved her unconditionally. I replied with just one line. "No, I'm the man you created." That night I got a call from Kyle, my friend in tech who had helped with the GPS tracking and phone backups. "You might want to check this out," he said. He sent me a screenshot immediately. Victoria had created a burner Twitter account under a completely fake name. It was filled with vague victim stories about emotional abuse and controlling behavior, being watched and stalked constantly. Zero proof, but plenty of followers. Eager to believe her manufactured narrative, I didn't respond or panic at all. I didn't get angry or defensive. Instead, I uploaded the video from the hotel hallway security cameras, her and Derek laughing together, like two high schoolers sneaking out of detention, onto a private anonymous page. No names mentioned, no locations given, just the date, timestamp clearly visible, and a single sentence caption. Narratives crumble when you have receipts. I sent the link privately. To the same people who followed her burner account, it didn't go viral or trending. It didn't have to spread widely. It just circulated like a rumor with teeth, like truth always does eventually. Victoria deleted the entire account. 2 days later, completely. I never heard about it again after that, but something had changed in me permanently. I had always believed betrayal was something you felt emotionally, a punch to the gut, a hot flash in the chest. But the truth is, betrayal is cold, is calculated, patient, and methodical, just like I had finally become. By the 3rd week of separation, Victoria wasn't pretending anymore. Not to me, not to anyone else. The fake smiles had disappeared completely. The carefully curated social media stories dried up. The performative confidence that once fueled. Her every word turned brittle and tired. She showed up at my house again. This time not at the front door, but parked across the street watching, like she was waiting for something. Or maybe just hoping desperately. I didn't engage with her at all. Didn't call the cops or make threats. I let her sit in that heavy silence. In the very space she once ruled like a queen. Let her stare at a house she used to own half of legally. Let her wonder how she became the outsider in a life that had been hers. And that's when I delivered the final blow. Not out of spite or petty revenge, but out of complete clarity. I'd held on to one thing, something I hadn't used yet strategically. A voice memo from her phone. The night before she moved out. She had been drunk and sloppy. We'd argued about absolutely nothing. Spilled wine, who forgot to buy groceries. Stupid domestic nonsense. And during that pointless fight, she let something crucial slip out. I could cheat on you again and again, and you still wouldn't do anything about it. You're completely pathetic. She'd laughed cruelly after saying it. I'd walked away from the argument. But my phone had been recording everything. Not by accident or coincidence. I had started recording all our conversations. So I uploaded that specific memo. I paired it with a clean direct video. Just me. One camera, no theatrics. I didn't name her in the video. I didn't insult her or attack her. I simply said there's a moment when you stop being angry and start seeing the truth for what it is. Not all monsters look like monsters. Some wear your wedding ring. Some say they love you while they're calculating how to leave you. If you're out there and you're being lied to, manipulated, made to feel like you're the problem. Start recording everything, start watching carefully. You'll find out who they really are. I posted it completely anonymously. Within 2 days, it hit 100,000 views. By the end of the week, people were quoting it everywhere, sharing it, sending me their own stories. I hadn't just exposed Victoria's lies. I'd opened the floodgates for hundreds of other people like me, men and women who had been gaslit, used, betrayed, made to feel crazy for trusting their instincts about cheating partners. Victoria must have seen the video. She didn't message me directly about it. But her friend Hannah sent me a text. She's not okay at all. You've completely broken her spirit. And for the first time in months, I felt absolutely nothing inside. Not satisfaction, not guilt, not even vindication or victory. Just nothing. Complete emptiness. The space she had taken in my mind for years was finally empty, and that silence was finally mine. I didn't expect the letter at all. It came in a plain white envelope. No return address anywhere on it. Just my name, Tyler Walker, written in her handwriting, the same way she used to label my lunch when we were newly married students. That neat little curl on the T, the pressure points on the W exactly the same. I stared at it for a good 10 minutes. Before opening it carefully, fingers unmoving, heart oddly calm. Inside were 2 pages handwritten. No apology, no regret whatsoever. Just Victoria raw and stripped of all her usual games. The tone was bitter, defensive, but also scared. You've made your point, she wrote. I get it completely now. You're the better person, the stronger one. Congratulations, you win. She called it a game still. That's when I knew she still didn't get it. This was never about winning anything. This was about truth and honesty, about finally pulling the mask off. A woman who had hidden behind love. While she chipped away at everything we built, she went on in the letter. I messed up, fine, but I wasn't alone in this. You weren't some perfect saint either. You got boring, predictable, obsessed with being good instead of being real. She kept going with more excuses. No ownership, no real reflection. Just blame wrapped in bitter venom. But then on the second page, something in her tone changed completely. A shift from anger to desperation. I have absolutely nothing left now. My parents won't speak to me anymore. My sister blocked me on everything. Derek, he told everyone at the office, I'm suspended pending a full investigation. People whisper when I walk by them. My landlord wants to raise my rent significantly. I don't even know who I am anymore. Without all of it, the men, the lies, the constant act I was performing, for a moment, just a brief flicker, I felt that echo of the woman I once loved with everything I had, not because I forgave her, not because I pitied her situation, but because I finally understood her completely. Victoria was never whole to begin with. She'd built herself from borrowed attention, temporary highs, cheap connections, and when those crumbled around her, so did she, piece by piece. But then the last line brought me back. Just tell me one thing, Tyler. Was there ever a version of us where I could have been enough for you? I didn't reply to her letter, not because I didn't have an answer, but because the answer was yes, and that's what made it so much worse. There was a version, a path, a chance, a moment where she could have come to me, broken and honest about everything, and I would have chosen her again. But she lit that bridge herself, and I learned something painful. In that realization about love, love doesn't always die dramatically. Sometimes it just gets smothered, under disappointment until you don't recognize its face anymore at all. I folded the letter carefully, burned it in the fireplace, not out of hate or anger, out of closure and finality. There would be no more responses, no more drama, no more Victoria. Only the ashes of what we used to be. Life after betrayal isn't quiet. Not really. Not the way people expect. It's not the cinematic silence, where curtains blow softly in the breeze, and the music fades beautifully. And you sip your coffee? In peaceful reflection. It's jagged, disjointed, uncomfortable. Every object becomes a memory. You didn't ask for or want. The chair she used to sit in. The towel still hanging on the bathroom door. That damn chipped coffee mug. She always forgot on the counter. But slowly they lose their weight. Or maybe you stop letting them. Press down on your chest constantly. The day the divorce finalized officially, I didn't even flinch at all. The judge's voice was completely monotone, like she was reading off a grocery list. Petitioner is awarded the house. Vehicle and financial assets listed in Section C. Respondent waives all claims to spousal support. That was it. Nothing more. 6 years of marriage wrapped up in 23 minutes and a digital signature. Victoria didn't show up to court. She didn't even zoom in remotely. Instead, I got a voicemail later that night. No tears, no begging for forgiveness. Just her voice flat and barely audible, barely above a whisper. I hope this version of you makes you happy. Delete button, no hesitation whatsoever. The next few days came with strange clarity. I started sleeping through the entire night. I cleaned out the garage completely. I bought new bed sheets, blue ones, not the gray ones she had picked out. I donated the dining set she insisted on, the one that always felt too formal for us. I ripped up the backyard patio. We never finished building together, and started fresh with my own hands. One afternoon, I found my old camera. I used to use before things fell apart. Photography was a hobby I had dropped. Somewhere along the way, lost under the weight of trying to keep our life stitched together. I dusted it off and took a drive. 3 hours upstate into nowhere. I stopped at a ridge overlook, just as the sun began bleeding, across the horizon in gold. I took photos, hundreds of them, the kind of light you can't fake, the kind of silence that feels earned. And for the first time in months, I felt completely present. Not angry, not vengeful, not hollow. Just here, just existing. That night I posted one photo on my old social media profile. No caption, no explanation needed. Just the image of an open road. Under fading golden skies, a friend commented immediately, "You look free, man." I was free, but not because I'd won, not because I'd outplayed her, not because she lost everything. I was free because I no longer needed her to understand what she did. I didn't need her guilt or remorse, her rewritten version of our story. She could keep all of it. I had taken back myself, and that was more than enough. There's this myth that healing is loud, that you'll have this big, dramatic moment, the kind where you stand in the rain, scream into the sky like a movie, and suddenly everything makes sense again. That's not how it happened for me. It came in quiet, ordinary places. A morning where I woke up and didn't feel heavy anymore. A grocery run where I didn't think about what kind of cereal she liked. An evening where I sat in my backyard, beer in hand, completely relaxed, and realized the silence didn't feel like punishment anymore at all. It felt like mine, finally. Victoria never tried to come back. After that handwritten letter, no last desperate visit or attempt. No final cry for attention. I think some part of her knew that whatever door she thought was cracked open had been slammed shut and bricked over. She didn't just cheat on me. She betrayed the entire idea of us. She took everything soft and sacred and used it like currency in someone else's hands. And for a long time I let myself believe I was failing, that I wasn't enough for her. that maybe if I worked harder, loved louder, stayed patient longer, she'd come back to the version of her I once knew and loved. But there was no coming back. And once I stopped waiting for it, I started actually living again. The last thing I did was close the house projects folder completely, deleted every photo, every text, every surveillance clip I had saved. Not out of mercy for her, out of choice for myself, because her chapter didn't belong in my future story anymore. People ask if I'll ever trust again, if I'll date again, love again. I don't know the answer to that. What I do know is that I'm not broken. I'm not bitter about what happened. I'm awake, completely aware. And if you're reading this story, if you're stuck in that hell between suspicion and clarity, between love and betrayal, here's my advice to you. Stop waiting for the truth to present itself like a confession. Start watching, start listening, start believing what your gut already knows deep down. And when it hits you hard, when you find the hotel receipt, or the stranger's number in their phone, or the unopened box of condoms in your wife's bathroom drawer, don't fall apart completely. Build something instead, even if it's just yourself, especially if it's just yourself. Because in the end, when the dust settles around you and the silence returns for good, you'll realize the most painful betrayals are the ones that give you the clearest view of who you are and who you will never be again. Goodbye, Victoria. You were the storm, but I was the goddamn anchor. And anchors don't break. They hold steady through everything until the storm passes and the waters calm again. Now I'm sailing in clear skies with a compass that points true and a horizon that's all mine.